हेलो दोस्तों, दिस इज भारत कुमार एंड यू आर वाचिंग माय चैनल निर्मल इन्फो अपडेट्स।
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left.
Israel is combining the capabilities of several elite units under one roof as part of its multi-year plan to prepare the military for future warfare. Israel announced the creation of the 7th Wing under the Israeli Air Force earlier this month. The move is part of a larger reorganization effort, known as Momentum, for the Israel Defense Forces. The effort foresees more combinations of units, pushing intelligence and digitization to frontline forces and using 5th-generation F-35 fighter jets, future combat vehicles and air defense capabilities. Air Force Major General MK1-A said Israel is facing an era of regional change amid the coronavirus pandemic, what Israel calls third-circle threats from Iran, and continued operations to prevent Iranian arms trafficking to Hezbollah. In recent years, Israel has been concentrating many of its efforts against threats from the north, including Hezbollah and Iranian entrenchment in Syria during the course of the Syrian civil war. Israel fought 3 conflicts in Gaza with Hamas between 2009 and 2014, but relations are less tense. This is a battlefield that is becoming more complex every day. This change has been understood by the commanders. This is the change that requires us to adapt ourselves and to prepare better for the future challenges, Norking said. A $5.2 billion contract for around 83 light combat aircraft, LCA, Tajas MK1-A variant, is likely to be awarded to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, by December this year, according to a report in Liftfist. The final paperwork for the deal, the report says, is complete and awaiting clearance from the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Defense is also looking at a proposal to manufacture 18 Tajas MK-1 final operational clearance trainer aircraft to keep the Tajas assembly lines up and running till the deal for 83 MK-1 variants is signed. Tajas MK-1 will be a more capable fighter than the original MK-1 variant. MK-1 variant of the Tajas will come with around 40 major and minor improvements over MK-1. These improvements include the introduction of an active electronically scanned array radar for detection of enemy aircraft at greater ranges and resistance to jamming, and a faster turnaround of each aircraft after each sortie. Earlier, the IAF had ordered at least 40 MK-1 Tajas. Around 16 of these aircraft were already in squadron service with the Indian Air Force, IAF. The first Tajas were inducted into No. 45 Squadron Flying Daggers in 2016. The second Tajas Squadron, No. 18 Squadron Flying Bullets, was operationalized in May. HAL has improved the rate of production of LAX at its facility. It has set up a second assembly line, Managing Director of HAL, Ahmed Evan, has said. Our target rate is 16 Tajas fighters per year, for which a second line has already been set up now. We can easily ramp up to 16 to 20 per year as and when we receive the 83 Tajas order, Medovan has been quoted as saying. India and Israel have signed an agreement to further expand collaboration in dealing with cyber threats amid rapid digitization due to the coronavirus pandemic that exposed the vulnerabilities of the virtual world. The agreement was signed on Wednesday between the Director General of Israel's National Cyber Directorate, Induct, Yagalina, and India's Ambassador to Israel, Sanjeev Singla. Deepening cooperation with India is another important step in confronting global cyber threats, Anna said. The accelerated digitization processes that accompany the enormous challenge of dealing with the COVID-19 epidemic and the increase in threats in cyberspace bring with them challenges and the need to quickly build protected services and systems, Anna told after signing the agreement. Israel can contribute from its experience and can benefit from the vast experience gained in India in dealing with cyber attacks, he added. Announcing the signing of the MOU on operational collaboration in cybersecurity, the Indian Embassy's Twitter handle described it as a new normal in staying the course and reaching newer heights together. Cybersecurity is a growing and natural area of close cooperation between India and Israel. It has been emphasized strongly by our 2 prime ministers. And its relevance has been underscored by the latest COVID-19 pandemic, Singla told. The MOU signed between the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, CERT, a unit of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and IND deepens the operational cooperation between the two sides and will expand the scope of exchange of information on cyber threats in order to raise the levels of protection in the field. The agreement lays down the framework for dialogue, cooperation and capacity building, mutual exchange of best practices in the field and facilitates regular exchanges. Cybersecurity was identified as an important area of cooperation during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel in July 2017, and an agreement was signed between the two sides during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to India the following year. Iran denied an Indian newspaper report that New Delhi was dropped from a key rail project along the border with Afghanistan after it showed reluctance in investing fearing American sanctions. A deputy to Iran's Ports and Maritime Organization, Farhad Mentasser, called the story totally false because Iran has not inked any deal with India regarding the Zahed and Kaaba Railway. Iran has only signed 2 agreements with Indians for investment in Kaaba. One is related to ports machinery and equipment, and the second is related to India's investment to the tune of $150 million. Mentasser was quoted by the IRNA news agency as saying on Wednesday, "We had a list of Indian investments in Kaaba port, which also included the issue of Kaaba railway infrastructure and a railway, but during the negotiations it was not agreed." He added sanctions have nothing to do to Iran-India's cooperation in Kaaba. The Hindu newspaper reported on Tuesday the Iranian government decided to proceed with the long-stalled rail project without India's participation. A track-laying ceremony for the Kaaba-Zahed rail line was held last week. It will eventually stretch to Zaranj on the Afghan side, enabling hassle-free trade and movement. Indian consultancy Erkan had pledged to provide all services and funding for the project, estimated at about $1.6 billion, according to the Hindu report. In 2018, Washington agreed to a waiver for Kaaba port under the Iran Freedom and Counter-Proliferation Act of 2012, but the newspaper said Indian officials were still wary. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has previously described the port as a vital part of shaping Iran's economic future.